Welcome to the Persecution Report. I'm Greg Musselman. Coming up, challenges and dangers facing Christians in Egypt who have left Islam.
Many Muslim scholars issued the fatwa saying I must be killed. On television, people were saying if they meet me on the streets, they will kill me. Many fatwas have come up saying I must be killed.
And later, the amazing forgiveness of a teenage girl in India. Those stories and more are coming up on the Persecution Report. A 9-year-old Pakistani Christian girl was gang raped and murdered, according to a report from the Christian Post. Nisha Javid was abducted while walking near her home in El Sangri village in Punjab province. Her battered body was found 2 days later in a canal. Police have done little to investigate the murder and have even refused to follow up alleged compelling evidence that would identify the guilty party. Sadly, this is far from an isolated case. VOMC receives numerous reports of similar attacks on Christian women and young girls in Pakistan. In court, a Christian man's testimony is worth half that of a Muslim man's. A Christian woman's is worth only a quarter. So Christian women and young girls are easy targets for rape, and justice for them is elusive or non-existent. 3 Christians were killed and 2 seriously injured following attacks on believers in the northern Iraqi city of Kirkuk. In one attack, 2 women, Suzanne Latif David and Muna Bana David, were killed in their home. In a separate attack in the same area, Yusuf Shaba and his sons Thamir and Basil were shot by gunmen. Basil was killed. Yusuf and Thamir were taken to hospital in critical condition. One of the 9 men arrested has suspected links to Al-Qaeda. Local clergy have condemned the killings, which have sparked fear of further violence against the Christian community. Thousands of Iraqi Christians reportedly have fled to other parts of Iraq and neighboring countries. Pray for protection for Christians in the war-torn nation. 2 Turkish Christians are standing trial for insulting Turkishness, a charge stemming from their Christian witness. And the authorities have thrown another charge at them, which could affect the ability of churches across Turkey to raise funds. Turan Topal and Hakan Tastin spoke about their Christian faith. And although freedom of religion is protected by the Constitution and missionary activity is not illegal, they are being charged with insulting Turkishness. Now a new charge has been added, the illegal collection of funds. Turan and Hakan plan to appeal to the European Court of Human Rights. According to their lawyer, this charge has sparked fear that authorities could harass churches for collecting offerings. The Egyptian constitution states that Islam is the country's official religion and the main source for determining the laws of the land. Freedom of religion applies only if someone wants to convert to Islam, but leaving Islam is prohibited. So trying to change one's religion from Islam to Christianity is not only against the law, but is also very dangerous. That's why Mohammed Higazi and his family are in hiding. Higazi took the unprecedented step of going to court to change his religion from Islam to Christianity on his national ID card. Mohammed's highly publicized trial went to court, and the judge denied him the ability to change his religion to Christianity. If Mohammed goes against the court, he could face 3 to 10 years in prison and a hefty fine. Mohammed and his then pregnant wife Christina began running from the law. A month later, baby Miriam was born while they were in hiding. Christina's family and friends have threatened to kill her because she married a convert to Christianity. Mohammed became a follower of Jesus over 10 years ago when he was 16, and his new faith was tested early and often. When his father, who hated Christians, learned his son had become one, he was very angry and threatened him with death. State security were called in, and Mohammed was arrested and then questioned by a very aggressive officer.
His questions were about who helped you to embrace Christianity, and he wanted to know names of the people. But I told him my testimony about how I listened to the Christian radio station and that nobody helped me to become a Christian. So he spent 3 days torturing me in a very serious way. A very rough way. He was beating me, he was whipping me, he was putting his shoes into my face.
Mohammed says there is a specialized office in the state security against Christian evangelism.
All the officers in that office are really fanatic about their Islam, really religious. They're very tough and severe against the Muslim converts to Christianity and the Christians. This officer was praying and getting more energy to torture me. Other people also beat me. They put a bandage over my eyes, so I wasn't able to see from where I would be beaten. I couldn't understand my crime, why they were doing that to me, just because I was a Christian. After 3 days, the officer brought in a Muslim scholar who tried to convince me to return to Islam, and I told him I didn't need anyone to convince me because I was a Christian.
Despite death threats, torture, and imprisonment, Muhammad has stayed true to Christ.
I've been arrested dozens of times. I can't remember how many times. A few days each time, once for 2 months. Sometimes they would torture me, and sometimes they wouldn't even ask me questions.
Muhammad, Christina, and Miriam remain in hiding because of Muhammad's desire to change the religion on their identification cards, a desire that has caused a major uproar in Egypt.
Many Muslim scholars issued the fatwa saying I must be killed. On television, people were saying if they meet me on the streets, they will kill me. Many fatwas have come up saying I must be killed.
The Voice of the Martyrs Canada has partnered with Christians in Egypt to at times help provide shelter and safe houses for Muhammad, his wife and daughter, and other believers from Muslim backgrounds who are facing similar trials. Muhammad Aghazi's story and those of other persecuted Christians in Egypt will be featured in a video to be released this summer called Egyptian Voices, Testimonies of the Persecuted, available from the Voice of the Martyrs Canada. And also our July newsletter will be highlighting the challenges facing believers in Egypt. And if you live in Canada and don't yet receive our free monthly newsletter, you can sign up today at persecution.net. That's persecution.net. Sometimes, as we hear stories of persecution, especially when hundreds or thousands of people are involved, it's easy to forget the individuals that are affected. Here's a story of one courageous girl who was among the thousands of Christians who were attacked by Hindu militants during a wave of violence that swept through her home state of Orissa. 14-year-old Manini is from a village in Kandamela district. When Hindu militants attacked her family in late August 2008, she was beaten until she was unconscious. Then, unaware of what was happening to her, she was raped. Thankfully, she has no memory of this. Her attackers then poured gasoline on her, set her on fire, and fled. Shocked into consciousness by the burning of her flesh, she ran to a tub of water. But it was too late. The right side of her body was badly burned. In the months following, she received treatment and underwent a number of surgical procedures for the burns. She's now going for weekly therapy to help restore movement in the affected areas. VOMC contacts who recently met Manini asked that we remember her in prayer. One said, "She's an amazing person. She has the joy of the Lord in her," and told me that if the Lord gives her a chance, she wants to have the courage to tell those who did this to her about the Lord, His love, and forgiveness. Please pray for Manini and other persecuted Christians around the world. Remember that when one part of the body suffers, we all suffer. Thanks for watching the Persecution Report. Goodbye, and God bless.
To learn more about the ministry of the Voice of the Martyrs and ways in which you can help persecuted Christians, sign up today for our free monthly newsletter at persecution.net. That's persecution.net.